What's up, guys? J&J Reviews here, back with a spoiler-heavy review for the recently released, much-hyped, very anticipated film, Power Rangers, the 2017 edition of the beloved 90s TV show. And Jamin, how are you tonight?
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah. Are you a Go-Go Power Rangers fan yourself as a child? Were you a fan of the series?
Believe it or not, the only reason I really watched it was because my brother grew up with the show. He was 10 years older than me, and that was it was brand new when it was out. When he was big into it, and he had a few, VHS tapes back in the day that I would
What?
pop in, or some on the TV. But overall, I was a very casual fan. I just watched it here and there, but I knew definitely, about it and the basics.
Yeah, I was very casual fan. I saw episodes. I remember I can have memories of watching the show as a kid, but I don't remember anything about the show. And it wasn't like it was something I had VHS tapes of or had to catch every day. I just kind of watched it whenever it was on the TV. So I had virtually no excitement for this movie. Did you expect anything out of it?
No, I kind of figured this one was going to be mediocre just by the trailers, but and I didn't really expect any surprises either, and we didn't really get that.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be mediocre, and somehow it still let me down because I heard some good reviews from this from like fans and even just people who were like, "Yeah, it was a fun time." I was like, "All right, it'll be a fun time," but I thought this thing was poopy. I thought it sucked.
I really can't disagree. I mean, it was a movie that you're right. It was, I was going in, I was going to think it was mediocre, but it didn't really hit that mediocre spot either. It just was kind of, you go out and you're kind of almost happy that thing's over.
Oh, geez. And the one thing just right off the bat, I'll say it's like I think it's 2 hours and 4 minutes is the runtime. Silence, the Martin Scorsese film with no score about religion, felt shorter than this. Oh my gosh, I thought we were trapped in that theater. I was like, this thing's never gonna end, and we haven't even had an action scene yet. I was like, we still have to get to that big CGI fest that we saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
Jesus, one was long.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, without, we'll obviously get into it a little bit more, but it took, so long for these guys to eventually morph. And so it just took so long. And then finally you got there and it wasn't even anything special in the end anyway.
Kind of felt like, in a weird way, it felt like Godzilla, where they kept teasing us, like they're gonna morph, and then they didn't. And then when it finally happened, it wasn't like Godzilla, because when it finally happened, it wasn't even cool. It actually sucked more than when they couldn't morph. Getting into it, not going to go through like the whole movie because we both really can't remember it. We were saying, so I just kind of had some good and bad we can run through. First, start off with the good, because there were some decent things I liked about the movie. I'll say the only Ranger that I thought was good was R.J. Cyler as the Blue Ranger. I liked him. I thought the dialogue for all of them was terrible. They all talked. It was adults saying, "What do kids talk like?" And I thought we got beyond that. I thought they could write for kids now, and it was good. We've had movies good these days, but for all of them, it sucked. But for him, I thought it was better. I thought he did a good performance. He kind of played a guy who was slightly autistic, and I thought it was going to be annoying at first, and they were going to go too hard with it. But I thought it worked for his character, and he was the most entertaining of the Rangers for me. And we got most of the backstory for him, which was big.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're 100% right on that. I think if you had to pick one of them, I absolutely agree as the Blue Ranger. I think that, his character provided the only somewhat comic relief and provided, you're right, that backstory that was the most interesting out of all of them, and you felt most for him. And yeah, so I would definitely agree with that. But, overall, actually going into the movie, I thought that all the characters were just going to absolutely suck. And while most of them did, and for the most part they did, I was still pleasantly
that Yellow Ranger in the bad section.
I was still pleasantly surprised, though, however, that they weren't as bad as I thought. Like they weren't complete duds. At the same time, they were still forgettable. But you're right. The Blue Ranger was about the only one that you could say that you could probably feel for a little bit.
Yeah, and for the rest of my goods, you can say if you have any more, but I'm kind of grasping at straws. I thought the soundtrack was cool sometimes. When they first walk up and they've morphed, I thought it was cool, and aside from when they tried to throw in the 90s song that didn't really sound like the 90s song, but I guess it was, that felt off because they just kind of did it randomly. But otherwise, I thought the techno sound they were going for was pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that the overall the soundtrack was pretty solid. Actually, I saw it somewhere. I might have to maybe just look at it a little bit more. But
it tricked you that something was actually happening.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. I think that was definitely one of the strengths of the movie was the soundtrack. I agree. However, the song they put, I personally, I don't know, it felt like a weird remixed version.
Yeah.
Of made by like 8 seconds into the movie, and I feel like honestly they should just went with the original '90s one. And I don't even care if they made it cheesy or whatever. I think that would have been a good part of it, but just putting it in for 8 seconds and making it even worse than the original.
Weird timing too.
Yeah, strange timing.
Like it wasn't like they were going off in a battle, but it just felt like out of nowhere, like they ran into frame and it started. And I don't even know the show at all, but I knew that wasn't the song. I was like, something's off.
No, it was forced. It was very forced, and it was just for the benefit of having it in there, basically.
Yeah, and just my last good things, I thought Bryan Cranston gave the best performance in the movie, and he was a CGI face in the wall. I thought his character actually had, a struggle with was he going to try to come back, or was he going to let this team go? He actually had somewhat of an arc, which, again, he's a CGI face in the wall, and he had the most arc in the movie. And I thought Bill Hader's Alpha 5 was goofy and weird, but I kind of wanted more of that from this movie because it's very mixed of, are we going to be silly and goofy like the show, or are we going to be serious? It was just a total mix of those two things. They didn't know what they wanted to do, but I thought that aspect of it, it was fine. So there you go.
Yeah, from what I remember from the original, which again isn't from the original show and such, it's not a lot, but those two characters, I 100% agree that those were the two that I felt were most resemblant of the originals. And I think it's exactly right. They did provide enough seriousness while also having a little bit of room for comic relief at the same time. I thought that a really good balance. And overall, when they were in the scene, I felt, comforted by having them because they were just perfect for, the type of movie that this was. Other characters, on the other hand, probably weren't like that.
Yeah, now I just want to get into the bad because I'm ready to roast the Yellow Ranger. Just for the rest of we got like 2.5 out of 5 backstories, really. Because we got the Blue Ranger, like I said, he's autistic. He misses his dad, and they collected rocks. Mm-hmm. That's good enough. The Red Ranger, okay, he's not the leader. All right, I don't care. They said it 100 times, but he did not lead that team. He led a vote where they raised hands one time. But that guy was not a leader. A terrible leader, actually, because he didn't do anything, but they just kept saying, "You're the leader."
That is true, actually. Now that I think of it,
Roy and Pam need to coach their son a little better or something, because I don't know what was going on. But then you had the Black Ranger, who first him and the Yellow Ranger, I don't know their characters' names, but they just show up like blue, red, and pink. We see how they got to this gold mine where they discover it, but then yellow and black are just like hanging there.
That was really odd. Especially the Black Ranger, especially because the yellow the light yellow. I kind of get what they're trying to do is kind of make that mysterious character, which obviously didn't turn out to be, but at the beginning at least, she was a mysterious one, but. Yeah, you're totally right. The Black Ranger was just interesting because, I mean, even the story that they brought up with him was just so just not really believable, or just because he was just such an odd character, and it always seemed like he wasn't even a part of the team.
Was he a psychopath?
I don't know. He just showed up and then he would just start doing wacky crap.
Crazy.
I don't know what his problem was, but he was a definite strange one. And I don't remember any Power Ranger being like that, really, but I guess that's what they went with in this one.
And then the Pink Ranger, I guess our backstory was that she made a dumb decision with her friends, and so now she's an outcast.
Yeah, what was this, High School Musical? Wait, honestly, I thought that was the stupidest thing ever, honestly.
I leaned over to you in the theater when she cuts her hair. She needs to be a salon stylist because she just used scissors. Her hair looked great. Everyone kept making fun of it. I was like, that looks really good. Scissors.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was odd. I didn't like that at all.
And then my favorite, the Yellow Ranger. Oh, okay. So she's the outcast. First of all, script again, dialogue just they killed her. I mean, I can tell she tried, but they killed her with her. I almost laugh because when they first discover their powers, she keeps trying to just walk away. She doesn't. She realizes that they can jump really far, but she never does that. She just keeps turning around and walking, and they just run and grab her again. They're like, "Wait!" And then she turns around and walks away, and then they run and grab her again. I was like, "Jump! You can leave."
No, well, and yeah, but yeah, and then I also really enjoyed the part where the Pink Ranger tries to get the sip of the water and
Oh
then
my
just takes her down.
What an idiot, Theo. How do you not see that coming?
Yeah, so that was I totally agree.
Hilarious. But yeah, then her character, she has all these terrible lines like, "I'm the outlaw, I'm a rebel." I didn't believe it. Like, it was so goofy. And then her character just kind of going through her development in the story. They had a chance to do something with her that I was actually going to change my mind on when the bad guy, Elizabeth Banks, who is corny as can be in this movie, which again would have worked if they went for that, but she just stuck out because the rest of the movie was serious. But when she shows up at her place and tries to make her like turn evil with her, like they literally could have had her like had some sort of character conflict, like anything to make us care about her. But literally, the next shot is her calling them all together and saying, "Elizabeth Banks just made me turn evil, but I said no." I was like, they didn't even have her struggle with it for a second.
Well, you know, you're totally right on the dialogue thing. I just feel like all the dialogue in this movie was forced because that scene is totally true. She just shows up and she goes, "Hey guys, guess what?" You know, she shows up and you know, bad stuff's gonna happen. We better go do something. Like it was just sounded so stupid. Now, so I know you in your personal review you touched on this, but like this movie definitely did have a difficult time with deciding what it wanted to be, and I think that was okay if it was trying to be like maybe the 90s show, but in other times this movie I felt like it was totally going a different area, and it just was very confusing in that aspect, and so that made that scene sound just be so stupid and just sound dumb.
Yeah, this movie really had a tough time. It wanted to go corny, but then it was like, wait, we're a serious dark take. Then they had scenes like that just spliced in there. You're like, what? And then another thing I wanted to point out, just there's a glaring plot hole in this movie that bugged me the whole rest of the time. So the Blue Ranger, he figures out where this crystal is that Elizabeth Banks wants.
Krispy Kreme.
Do you know the villain's name? Because I feel weird just saying Elizabeth Banks.
I can't remember. Honestly,
I don't know.
And she's probably prominent in the series too, but I don't even know.
But I'll just keep calling her Elizabeth Banks. It's funny. But so the Blue Ranger finds it at Krispy Kreme. Horrible product placement, but whatever. That's the least of this movie's problems. But he finds it, and then Elizabeth Banks gets all the Power Rangers together, and she's like, "I don't know where the crystal is, but you know." And she knows that he knows, but how does she not know where the crystal is, but she knows that the Blue Ranger knows where it is? They never explain how she knows that he found the crystal. Where did she get that information?
That is a really good point. And I never thought of, but yeah, it's totally true. Did she
just assume because he's autistic that he figured it out? That he's smart? Like, he's the last person I'd suspect.
There's no, like, the only thing that she did say was that he was very something like honest and smart or whatever, and that's basically her only
she probably took a shot in the dark, I guess.
Right.
5 chance of guessing who, but how did she know any of them knew? Like, they don't give any figuring that out at all.
There was a lot of that where it seemed like she knew things that we had no idea.
She kept eating gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Did she like poop out that big monster at the end? Like, how did she get all that gold out of her into the ground?
Well, yeah, and for not knowing, the modern Earth or whatever, as it is, how did she know where to get all this gold and such when
she made her way around town?
Right. So she doesn't know where Krispy Kreme is, and she has never heard of Krispy Kreme, but yet she knows exactly where the gold shop is. unless she could sniff it out or something. I have no idea how she found that.
Yeah, but then so basically we build up in this whole movie, by the way, hour and a half, there's no action scenes. They have this training montage.
Besides
training montage where they kick holograms. But so you're leading up, you're like, all right, finally, and then they morph and you're like, okay, we're ready. Like, let's go have some action scene. Let's finally have some fun at least. This isn't going to be a good movie. They can't save it, but it's going to be fun. And it turns out this is one of the worst looking. It's the ugliest action scene I've seen in a movie in a long time.
I think so as well. It was terrible CGI.
It literally felt like Transformers meets Man of Steel.
Right, right. But I think both those movies again did it better.
Yeah, they did it better, which is sad because they suck too.
Yeah, but I mean, even the destruction of those two movies, which was over the top in those two movies, that was one thing that totally bothered me. I would much rather see some of that destruction.
Yeah.
In this movie, there wasn't that much destruction.
But there should have been. Like, they were stomping things, but then at the end when you're looking around, I was like, there's no way those buildings should still be standing. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing we saw, I think, was when the one dad truck gets flipped and it got caught on fire. That's the only thing that ever caught on fire, basically.
Roy, yeah. But again, yeah. Then the part where they throw the Lamborghini and they're like, "Sorry, Bumblebee." I was like, "This really is Transformers."
Yeah, yeah.
But that whole action scene, I was so checked out. Like I said in our Batman v Superman spoiler review last year, I was checked out when the lights started exploding out of Doomsday. I could not be more checked out during this action scene. Like, I was looking around, I was thinking about what I was gonna get to eat.
No,
I was anywhere else but in that movie.
No, I totally agree. I mean, when it got to that scene, it was. Again, it wanted to be like the show, but at the same time, I felt like they were trying to be serious about it and be very, try to make this into a dark movie from a cheesy movie into kind of an action movie. And they were just below on every single one of those. It was weird.
And when they did that fake out where they beat the monster the first time and he knew he was going to come back, they're like, "We won." I was like, "Please send it."
No,
please say it's over.
Yeah. That's another point of this movie is, I don't know if it, again, meant to be like this, but it was very predictable. There was no surprises, I think, at all in this movie. I mean, besides maybe the Blue Ranger dying, but you knew he was going to come back in the end.
Yeah. That was so, you saw that coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
Like, he's in the trailer.
Yeah. No,
the whole Bryan Cranston setup, I was like, so they're just going to bring him back instead of Bryan Cranston.
No, yeah, you could see it a mile away.
Also, I don't buy that Bryan Cranston would do that because they haven't done anything to prove that they're ready at all. And he clearly didn't like them. But then all of a sudden he's like, you know what? I'll save them. Like, if I were Bryan Cranston, I'd be like, I got to save these because these kids were not trained for that final battle. That should not have been a fight. They should have got whooped, by the way, because they trained with holograms for like 10 minutes without armor. They didn't know how to use their armor. And just thinking of this, they didn't know how to use any of that stuff, and they worked perfectly in the final fight.
Yeah, and they looked like freaking superstars. They defeated the big freaking gold beast, the one that was supposed to destroy the entire world.
And everyone said they saved the town. I was like, no, you didn't.
Save the whole world.
But so yeah, I guess we're wrapping up here. This movie, it really sucks. And I didn't want it to suck. I thought it was going to be entertaining, and I thought there was going to be some cool action scenes, and I would have a good time. Like people were saying, critics are dogging on this one, but everyone was saying, no, it's good, it's fun. I had no fun with this movie. Logan was more fun for me.
Well, I hope.
But Logan was not fun. I didn't really like the movie. It was good, I guess, but it was not fun at all. It was super serious, and this movie had less fun than Logan.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I expected Power Rangers to be a better made film. I'm saying I expected to have a smile on my face at least once.
All right, that's good. Making sure there.
Yeah, I expected a masterpiece.
But yeah, I'll go ahead and start off with the rating of this one. This movie, I wasn't expecting much going in, and I think I I definitely got that going in after watching it, but it became even lower for me at times. The only really positives I think you could say about this movie was that there was lots of kind of homage to the original Power Rangers. I thought that at times it did feel like a show, and I thought that was good. But this is a movie you have to remember, and one that's supposed to be good. And it just had too many conflicting ideas of what this thing was supposed to be about, and kind of mediocre characters as we kind of expected, and terrible CGI, which again also expected. I basically could have called this one from the beginning, but hey, whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 4 out of 10. I know it's a little bit high, but I do respect it for kind of being a little bit like the show back in the day. And that was the only cherry on top that I think I appreciated about this movie.
Oh yeah, I'm matching you. I'm also going 4 out of 10 because for a long time, even though like I was making fun of the characters and everything throughout the movie, I still didn't hate the movie. I thought it was like a 5 out of 10 for a long time. I was just thought it was whatever, but then that final action scene hit, and I was just like, boy. So I had brought it down to a 4. But yeah, I didn't hate the movie until that final action scene. But really, just looking back, I don't have any like Suicide Squad's a movie I hate. I hate that movie. Like, I'm not going to remember this one in that same hatred. I'm going to forget about this movie. Like, again, we've forgotten most about this movie already, and we just saw it last night. But so I'm going to go 4 out of 10 as well, because I don't hate this movie, but it really was not good at all.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for watching this review. Stay tuned for more reviews and let us know down below. Did you enjoy Power Rangers? Were you a fan of the 90s show as a kid, and that affect your way of liking this movie? Either way, thank you guys for watching J&J Reviews.
Sign out.